Patrick is currently acquiring water.
Yeah, I didn't really. I agree with you that the first soundtrack for the first Spider-Verse is better.
Yes.
But I've been still listening to the second soundtrack a lot, and it's kind of like fun, like it's like chill vibe music.
Yeah, that's what Varsha said, where she's like, it's very lo-fi, and I think that.
Well, it's not your style as much, right?
I like the chill, the like chill hip hop beats to study to, like that kind of shit, like is interesting. But I don't know, I found the entire soundtrack was like that, whereas like
I felt like one beat.
In the first one, it's like you have the what's it called, the Sunflower song,
love that one,
which is like more of a low profile kind of song.
Memories.
But then you get something like What's Up Danger that is more like shit's happening.
You know one called Memories by Thutmouse.
Memories from the first or second one?
The first one. Here, I'll play it
Memories.
for you. We can cut it out if we need to.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember what part of the movie it is. But
yeah, I can't put my finger on where the hell that shows.
I think it might be he's like walking around like New York and it's like before school or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Start recording?
We did. Yeah, I
Spiderverse.
did want Spiderverse. What was I gonna say? There's something on my mind.
This is what it is. Okay, you could hate Spiderverse, but watch it and absolutely love it for the artwork alone. Absolutely amazing animation, breathtaking scenes, different art styles that all work.
Every frame is like a you stare at it and you're like, holy crap, that's incredible.
Yeah,
and yet you hate it.
I never said that. Why?
None of us.
That's what you let in with.
And your eyes are tearing up. Are you?
Just because I drank the Pepsi.
Oh, okay. I was like, what's going on?
I'm not used to fizzy drinks.
Oh, okay.
You let in with, you could hate it but love it for the animation, then started going.
No, I'm just saying you could hate it, but you should still like. Okay, here's the thing. If for nothing else, watch it for the art.
But it
is breathtaking.
But it's for sure.
Throughout the whole movie, I kept thinking to and also not just like the art itself, but the way they transitioned and represented different scenes. Like the very first scene. Oh, I shouldn't spoil.
I mean, they basically did in Across the Spider-Verse what they did with Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like all the different characters from all their different universes have all the different art styles. So it's like Scarlet Spider's got the kind of CG look, and then freaking Miles has his thing, and Spider-Gwen on her.
I like Planet. I love Spider-Gwen's. It's kind of like this, it's like this watercolor painting,
and it's
like the blue and pink.
Exactly how her comics look. Like they totally emulated that style, where it's like obviously illustrated, but like it's not so much the art necessarily. It's like I couldn't tell you if I had a gun in my head. I'd have to look it up. But like whoever did the coloring for the Spider-Gwen comics, like it is that like all the colors are like kind of like stretched almost, and like that watercolor like washed out. It's all mixed together.
Yeah,
like,
and don't get me wrong,
and a lot of neon.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but don't get me wrong. Like the story was good. The story was really good, and even we can't.
No, we can't talk about it.
Did we say spoiler alert already? Or
no, we were just sort of talking about it for like briefly.
Should we say spoiler alert?
Let's just not talk spoilers for now.
Okay, sure.
But we can talk in general, like, because I was talking with you and like with Patrick, and to me it's like I just feel like the first movie was like paced in a different way. I just feel like the second one is very like quickly paced in comparison. It's like story beats are happening like within a millisecond of each other. It's like this happened, and this happened, this happens. It's like very quick.
Yeah.
And the first one, it feels like it's more spaced out, and it felt like more of a less tight story. And I think a part of that is because they have a big story to tell, and they have to split into two movies. That's how big of a story it is. And so I just felt like I like the way the first one is paced better. And as just like a start to finish movie, I feel like it just feels more cohesive. But it's still an amazing movie. And you're saying like, if not for anything else, then for the art. But like the story is great, like you're saying.
No,
the
story's good, yeah.
And the music is cool. I was telling Matty I like the soundtrack a lot. We were talking about how we personally like the first soundtrack better. Like we feel like it's because the second one's kind of more like Matty was talking about how it's kind of like a lo-fi hip hop kind of very chill beats and stuff. And a lot of them, if I listened to most of the soundtrack today, and a lot of it feels like a similar tone. But the first one had a lot of different like feelings. Like Sunflower was like a very upbeat like poppy song,
R&B,
and then you had like a song like What's Up Danger, like Matty was saying, which is very like hip hop, like Anyway, so
yeah, the licensed shit. I just think the first one does it better. The actual score, I think both of them are like on par. I mean, I didn't think there was anything that could like if you ask me, is there a song that can compete with the Prowler's theme in the first one as like a badass theme? I'd be like, I don't know, that'd be tough. And then Spider-Man 2099 shows up and his like synth thing pops. I'm like, this is fucking dope.
I was so mad because I had heard that audio in memes
so many times.
I heard it in memes. I didn't even know what it was from because a lot of the memes weren't even about Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
It was just like a random meme with what was the noise?
The weird synth kind of thing.
Yeah. So as soon as it started playing, like in my mind, I was like meme, and I was like, damn, I wish I hadn't seen that meme because it's such a dope sound. But now I'm associating it with memes.
See, funny. The only scene that was like tainted for me because of memes was when Miles. This is not a spoiler, but at one point Miles and Gwen are like talking in his room, kind of thing, and she's talking to him, and then sort of like backflips out the window. And then Miles runs up to the... I'm going to put this meme into the episode. I have to. But Miles like runs up to the window to go see her. And in the movie, he just sticks his head out the window to, see Gwen standing on the side of the building. But in this meme, you know what? I'm not going to explain it.
Just put it up.
I'm just going to put it up.
We're
just going to let it go. Here it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, that scene was slightly tainted for me because as soon as that scene started happening in the movie, I just immediately thought of that bit, and it made me haha.
So I talked to both of you guys today, and I think that like the more I process it, and the more two things. I was very tired yesterday, and I felt my eyes were really heavy, and I was like it was a long day at work as well.
And there was an annoying altercation.
And then there's this lady like screaming in the back, just like laughing really loud. And then also like Malcolm's thing coming in late, and I was just kind of like, I think that in the moment I was like overwhelmed by how much shit was happening, and it felt like a more highly paced movie than the first one. And then so I slept on it, and I woke up, and I was like thinking back on all the different moments. And I love all of it, and I'd even argue to say that it's like a more entertaining movie than the first one. I think a lot more cool shit happens, and it's visually really cool. So I think it's great, and I think I'm gonna feel even better about it once I watch the second part, and then it's gonna feel like a complete story. Because right now it just doesn't feel like it feels like it was very tight, but it wasn't like it wasn't finished yet.
Yeah. I rewatched the first one that day before we went to see it, and I cried.
A lot of good moments. In that
like
one.
The first time I watched it when Uncle Aaron dies, it was. Was that a spoiler?
Up.
Oops.
I mean, for Into the Spiderverse,
that was 5
which
years
is
ago.
how many years ago now?
Yeah.
And then watch it yet? Fuck you.
And then Jefferson comes, dad comes.
Yeah,
he's
that was sad.
Spider-Man
also, I
and his
need to
uncles.
before we get into the episode, I need to say one thing. We talked about this on the phone already, but I need to
I also
make
have
sure it's
one
in the
thing.
mic. Telomerase is the end of chromosomes.
I was right,
ladies and gentlemen. There were some inaccuracies in last episode's final topic. Just the one other small thing. In the short term, the stress response boosts the immune system. That's the other small thing. But yeah, if you guys hear anything and you really care that much, you can reach out to me and say, Patrick, you're an idiot. This was wrong. I won't care.
Mark was right about the
telomeres. big hiccup. Telomeres. And I was confusing it with spindle fibers. I don't know how.
Yeah, I was thinking like
why didn't you say anything?
Because
you were confident, bro.
Because I said what telomeres are, like the ends of the chromosomes, and then you were saying something about during like cell division. And I was like, I didn't know telomeres were involved in like pulling things.
I don't know where the brain fart came from. I don't know.
I haven't like studied mitosis since like first year uni or second year. So I just didn't like. I was like, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And even while I was saying it, I felt wrong. Sure. It's not that I wasn't sure. It was it was that I felt wrong. I felt inside of me there was something telling me
something's
you're
wrong
an idiot. But yeah. Matty,
before we go, because I won't belabor this, because last week we had kind of a longer cold open, and
I barely know her.
We've been going a little bit here, but I just wanted to say, I was talking to Varsh the other day.
What does that mean?
I don't know. You've never heard that? We do that sometimes.
Yeah, but okay. Go on.
I was talking to Varsh the other day about this, and her and I came to a horrifying conclusion, and I just wanted to bring this information to you guys and the rest of the world. Popcorn's a vegetable.
Yeah, corn.
Yeah, corn.
But isn't that horrifying?
I didn't think about it like that, I guess, but it
to
is,
think that popcorn's a vegetable.
That's literally what it is.
I know, but like, have you ever thought about it in that way?
But it's so far removed that you can't really even call it a vegetable. I mean, like originally it was a vegetable, but now it's like a whole other transform.
But imagine going to somebody and being
technically is, but it's so far. It's candy at this point. It's not something like a. It's not like you think of vegetables like a raw vegetable. It's like healthy, whatever. But like at this point, it's so far removed that no one even really thinks about it that way. You know?
Okay, no one thinks about it.
But I'm saying technically, of course, it's.
But it literally is, and I had never considered that, and then I thought about it
Does that upset you?
It does.
Why?
Because the idea that I could go to somebody and be like, hey, you want like vegetables, and then hand them popcorn, and I'd be like technically correct is like a horrifying
You'd be an asshole. If you
Yeah,
did that.
it also-
They'd be like, those aren't vegetables.
If I was
That's
going to
popcorn.
like a party and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna bring a veggie tray, and I showed up with like a tray of popcorn.
I feel like everyone would be happy. They'd be like,
That'd be good. Imagine like caramel popcorn, regular popcorn,
Dude,
cheesy popcorn.
you know what we should do?
Mm.
I've seen Instagram videos of like people bringing like different like charcuterie boards or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they have like, one person has a McDonald's board and they bring junior chicken,
That's
cheeseburgers,
so
fries.
Cool.
Another person brings like a cookie board. They have all these different delicious gourmet cookies. And then like we bring different boards.
Yeah.
I feel like a kind of like candy corn board would be not candy corn, but like different. What do they call it?
Charcuterie board.
What do they call like a caramel corn and like the different flavored ones?
Yeah,
What do they
there's
call them?
cheesy one. There's
They sell
Kernels?
the different. Yeah, kind of like when they sell flavored popcorn.
like the store is named Kernels.
Sure, but what do they call that kind of like candied popcorn?
I don't
I don't know if there's a name for it. Like there's just like you
'Cause
get like garlic parmesan popcorn.
Yeah, because I know like caramel corn's a thing. So
Yeah.
like someone can have like a bunch of different flavored popcorn. Someone else brings cookies. Like
That'd be fun. I just before we cut out here to go to the intro.
How many times are we gonna go before?
Just one more thing. I was kind of in a sour mood before we started, with the whole like. Should I even bring it up? I was in a sour mood. You guys know why?
Yeah.
But like I feel like my mood is like lightened a little bit.
That's good.
Well, there you go.
But yeah.
Thanks for the update.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Eat your vegetables, kids.
Mm.
Tell your mom you can eat popcorn for vegetables. Welcome back to episode 14 of Wildly Adequate, the show about anything, everything, and usually nothing. Thank you for joining us today. If you like the show, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend or an enemy if you hate them and you think this show sucks. I am once again 1/3 of your hosting crew.
Beg harder for the likes.
Mr. Matthew Urso. Give us those likes. And I am joined again, as always.
It's me, Patrick Fahim, Patricio.
What's up, Mark?
Was that
Mark?
I
What?
I asked a couple weeks ago if I was too excited,
Mhm.
and you guys said no to me, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna keep that energy level from
You
now
do
on.
No, I
that.
think it's good. I just can't get myself. I think it sounds better.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, it's like, oh, that's Patrick. Like for me, it's like I can't get myself to be
Yeah.
that excited.
But I said Patricio there. Why did I say that?
I don't know.
You know what?
No.
You know, FC Berlin, my old soccer team. A bunch
Shout
of
out.
them called me. Shout out. A bunch of them called me that. That was their
Mhm.
nickname for me, Patricio.
It's not the only thing they called you. Malcolm is once again not here because he's a goon. I'm just gonna stop saying next week he'll be back because this
Because
would
we
be
we
like
genuinely don't know.
this would be like the third episode in a row I've said that. So he'll be back at some point. And that's all there is to it.
Is that true? Like, will he actually be back?
Yeah, we'll see.
Can we even say that with confidence?
I don't know.
Let's just say.
I like to hope so. So yeah, Malcolm. Anyways, we got a show to do, folks, and I believe, Mr. Mark, you are taking us away.
I am taking you away. I'm taking you far away.
Take me away.
You still haven't decided.
No, I have it. I have it. I'm just like,
Second you did
you know what I was
that-
thinking?
Yeah, go
I was
ahead.
thinking of like, should I just throw in both because one's super short, one's a little bit longer.
You could.
But it just feels like
I feel like just pick one, honestly. Like, it doesn't matter if it's
Yeah.
too short, I don't think.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do a topic here that
Mhm.
it's been something that's been on my mind since I was a kid, and that is rewatching movies.
Okay, you made your
Yeah,
decision.
I've made my choice. So as a kid, I would like rewatch movies like crazy. Like especially there's a couple movies that I'd rewatch all the time.
Mhm.
So for example, Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire. I watched that one over and
love
over
that
and
one.
over and over. I think it's because it was more like
Exciting.
when it came out as well. I was like, Matty, when did Spider-Man 3 come out?
2008? 2007?
Yes, 2008.
So that's like prime time. I was like 7 years old. So I was like, that was my shit.
Mhm.
So I think Spider-Man 2 was like I was like a little bit younger, maybe a little bit too young. But by the time I was like, 7 or 8 and Spider-Man 3 came out, I was like the perfect age to start loving it.
Mhm.
And I'd watch it every single day.
You make fun of me for liking Spider-Man 3.
Well, I was a child.
Okay, go on.
But I don't think it's a horrible movie. I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah.
But so I'd watch it every single day. My grandparents would come over and I'd make them watch it. And I'd make sure that they were
How
looking
dare
at
you.
I'd make sure that they were looking at the screen.
Yeah.
If I was like, I'd be watching, and I've seen it a million times, so I know it beat by beat. And then I'd look off to the side and like, I'd be like, Grandma, watch this. And she's watching it, and it's like the scene where Mary Jane's like performing at the opera.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, oh, look, yeah. And then she's like, and I'm watching, and I look off to the side, and she's kind of like looking over at my grandpa, like she's talking to my grandpa, and I'm like, and I'd pause it, and I'd rewind. Bro, I was so annoying. I'd do that all the time. I'd be like, no, you gotta watch it.
Wow.
So there was that
I would
movie.
hate you.
Yeah, I'd hate me too. And then there was The Incredibles, Finding Nemo. Certain movies where I just watch every single day.
Yeah.
Now that I've grown up, I feel a little bit differently about it. I feel like there are certain movies that I can rewatch, albeit way more infrequently than I used to when I was a kid. But then there are other movies that are painful to rewatch, even if they're like good movies. Like if I watch a movie on Monday, I feel like I have to give myself, at least a few days before I could even think about rewatching it. But when I was a kid, sometimes I'd watch the same movie twice in a day.
Yeah.
Every single day. So it's like the way I've been thinking about it has changed. But still, I'm a fan of rewatching movies that I like, especially if it's been like a year. Like there are certain movies that I watch kind of annually. Matt, are you listening?
Yeah. part of what I think it is when we were younger.
Yeah.
Movies were less accessible, and for me, I had VHS tapes growing up, and part of the rewatching was like I have what I have. Yeah. But with the internet and Netflix and all these streaming services coming up, and just pirating stuff, honestly, online, you get old enough, you just decide, like, okay, I'm just going to watch it for free or whatever. I think maybe that's sort of...
It feels less special, I guess. Like, it feels like when you only have a handful of DVDs or VHS tapes or whatever, it's like, that's all you got, and it feels like precious, and you love them. But if you have like all the choice in the world, it starts to become kind of like your care levels decreased.
Yeah,
so
it's like, what am I going to watch this again? It's
have other options.
Part of I hear what you're saying, and what I was trying to allude to, or the point I was trying to make, was that it's literally the case that you have a limited inventory. So
sure. It's more of like
you're bound to rewatch. Is what I was trying to say.
It's more of a logistical problem.
Exactly, but with the internet, obviously that problem is surmounted.
So what I want to ask you guys basically is like, how did you feel about rewatching movies when you were a kid? Was it a similar thing to me where I'd watch, you'd watch the same movie every day, or like, and then also how do you feel about it now? Because like I said, there are certain movies as an adult that I'll still watch like a couple times a year. Like Coraline is one that I watch at least twice a year, every single year, and I don't get bored of it. But there are some movies, like I said, I can watch them, and like thinking about rewatching them, I'm like, oh god, I don't want to rewatch that. Yeah. Even movies where like that I love. Yeah. I just like, I don't know.
When I was a kid, Beethoven was what I'd watch.
The dog one?
The dog one, yeah. Is those movies is what I would watch.
Matty's head is pressed against the microphone in disappointment.
I just, of all the movies.
Hey, I was a kid. What do you want from me? But
also, I thought it was Beethoven. Is it
Beethoven?
I thought it was just I just said Beethoven.
Beethoven.
Beef oven.
What am I saying?
You're like Beethoven or something.
Whatever.
You're saying it more like
Beethoven.
You threw some spice on it.
I did. Okay.
It's probably more correct actually, but
I have no idea.
So.
No, probably not.
I think it's just Beethoven. He was German as shit. That was just
Beethoven. Yeah. But where was I going? You guys cut me off.
You watched Beethoven a lot as a kid.
No, but I was gonna go somewhere with it.
Oh.
About with regards to rewatching movies now, I actually despise that idea. It's like there's so many movies to watch.
Yep.
Why rewatch? Like, especially when you guys, and I'm gonna out myself here, when you guys say, "Oh, I'm gonna put the Batman on the wheel." It's like, don't put the Batman on.
No,
let's watch something new.
Well, here's the thing. It's like I said, there are certain movies that I love so much and I appreciate so much that like I'll never get sick of it unless I like.
Can I jump in? Sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in and just clarify. The wheel is something we have as a group of friends.
Oh yeah.
Where we put movies on it, and every time we like decide we're gonna watch a movie, we pick from like a random selection of that wheel, and we put new movies every time. So that's what the wheel is for the audience.
Yeah.
Go on, Mark.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like you were saying, like, why rewatch when you have so many new movies that you could be watching?
Yeah, like we have so many options. We want to watch so many new things.
Well, I'll give you one answer. Like sometimes you just want a comfort movie, just like how you would want to rewatch like a comfort show, like a sitcom or something. Yeah. You just throw it on in the background while folding laundry or doing whatever. So there are certain movies where I'm like, I miss this movie. I'm just gonna throw it on and feel comfy. Just watch. Like the other night, my girl and I watched Kung Fu Panda.
I love that.
Love Kung Fu Panda. I haven't seen it in a long time, and I was like, I love this movie. I've seen it a million times, but it's an enjoyable, fun, like relaxing experience. It's a good time.
No, I agree with what you're saying. Like, I'm not trying to advocate for never rewatching movies, but yeah, as I've grown older, I don't. It's not as appealing to me anymore. But there's different. I guess, scenarios like the comfort thing you said. If it's Christmas time and you want to rewatch Christmas movies.
Sure, I think that's a part of it. And then also something that I want to bring up that we haven't brought up yet, and I'm curious to hear Matty's opinion as well, but is like time is more precious to us now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have we're adults, we got stuff to do, we got jobs, we got school, we got X, Y, and Z, we have other responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So as a kid, you have all the time in the world to do whatever you want, and so but now it's like since time is so precious, it's like most movies now are at least 2 hours. Unless you're watching like an animated movie, it's like an hour and a half or whatever. Most movies are going to be at least 2 hours, and it's like, do I want to spend 2+ hours on this movie that I've already seen and experienced, or do I want to experience something new with my limited time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that.
But yeah, definitely like seasonal movies is a thing too. Like every Christmas, watching your favorite Christmas movies or whatever. Yeah. But I'm talking like excluding that, just movies that you like. Do you like rewatching movies now still? Because to me, it's like certain movies I do, certain movies I don't, and I don't know what differentiates those things. Certain movies I just feel like are comfort movies to me, and then other movies that I love so much and I want to show to other people. Like when I watched Arrival, I watched it by myself, and then I wanted to show it to you guys, so I threw it on the wheel, and then like I wanted to watch it with my girl as well, so I watched it. So it's like there's certain movies that like I want to spread to people.
Yeah.
And that's a motivation, and then other times, like I said, it's just like a comfort thing.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't watch movies as much as you guys. The only time I actually really watch movies for the past, I think this statement is true for the past like 3-4 years, has been with you guys, either the wheel or movie theater.
You've never seen the movie? You just don't watch movies at home?
I just don't really watch movies by myself or at home, or
I
haven't been doing that for the past I don't know how many years, unless it's like Christmas and it's like we're rewatching Home Alone or something.
Yeah. Manny, how about you? What was your like childhood? What was your childhood relationship with rewatching movies, and what's it like now?
I have not been paying attention. No, I'm just kidding. As a kid, I mean, yeah, there were like definitely kids movies that I rewatched over and over and over again.
What are your top picks? Also, Space Jam is one of mine, by the way.
Space Jam. I don't know, like it was a lot of like Pixar stuff and some Disney stuff that I just watched as a kid, like all the time. But even when it was just with anything, like even I watched Saving Private Ryan for the first time when I was like, I don't know, I was still in elementary school or something, because I was like such a World War II dork when I was a kid.
You're such a deviant.
And that was a movie that like I would watch just over and over again.
So that's an interesting one, because it's very dark and depressing
and
long.
But it was just so like fascinating to me as a kid, being like, this is so interesting that like I just couldn't get enough. Now it's a thing where there are certain movies I rewatch in two different ways. Like, I still have cable at home because my dad's a madman and refuses to give up cable because he just likes the kind
Netflix?
of comfort. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They have the streaming platforms.
Reliability of it. And like because of that, there are certain movies that like when they're on TV, if I'm like not doing anything and just sort of bumming around, I always watch. Like Forrest Gump is one of those movies that like every single time it's on TV, doesn't matter how far in it is.
Sure.
If I'm flipping through channels and it's on and I'm like just sitting around, I'm like.
But are there ads?
Yeah, like the commercials and stuff. But even if I'm like not even paying that close attention and I'm just putting something on in the background, like that's a kind of movie I'll watch all the time. There's favorites of mine I watch a lot. Like Jaws is my favorite movie ever, so I watch Jaws like every so often, or like Predator, which I love, and especially because Predator's like an hour and a half, or a little longer than that. So it's like that's
you
a
watched
short.
it at the cottage.
Exactly, that's like a short in and out one that I watch kind of regularly.
So the short of it is that you do like rewatching movies that are like your favorites every once in a while, but just not like super frequent.
Or like, I watch probably like Civil War and Infinity War in terms of the MCU stuff. Probably like once a year I watch both of those at some point kind of during the year, just because I love the shit out of those two. The Batman is going to become one of those movies.
I've only seen it once, by the way.
A year
so
I watch.
Long, bro.
Well, it's like 3 hours, so it's a commitment. But what I was going to get into with what you guys were saying is what I agree with, which is the idea of, I don't know if you gentlemen are familiar with it, but we call it the opportunity cost, which is, every opportunity taken is infinite opportunity lost kind of thing. And that's the way I feel about a lot of the media that I engage with, where it's like, every time I'm rewatching a movie or, watching reruns of The Simpsons for the 1000th time, or I play BioShock, my favorite game.
Oh, yeah.
Once every single year, and Infinite.
Infinite as well.
Is it the same day, the same month?
What?
BioShock?
No, it depends. Sometimes I'll play it like, like it changes. There's no like set time to it. But every time, or like, it's been long enough now that like I want to reread Invincible again from start to finish. But the problem is every time I do something like that, there's a part of me that's thinking, yeah, it's great that I'm watching Jaws right now, which I love so much, but there are so many movies that I haven't seen that I want to see that I could be watching right now that I'm not. And that's the sort of like where the opportunity cost comes into play. Sometimes it bugs me enough to the point that I don't, like, I don't know, with the comics thing, for example, it's like I don't reread a lot of comics anymore because I couldn't even count how many things I've got sitting on my shelf that I just haven't gotten to yet. So I'm always like trying to just keep reading new shit and just keep pushing forward. Video games is a similar way, but I think the reality at the end of the day when it comes to rewatching movies or like re-engaging with any art form is you kind of just have to do what you want to do with like not limiting yourself. Because like when Resident Evil 4 remake came out earlier this year, a few months ago, played that, loved it, had a blast with it, and I was like kind of in the mood for more Resident Evil 4. So I just went and replayed the original Resident Evil 4 again, which I had already played a couple years ago, and I just replayed it again, and it was something where it took me probably like 15 to 20 hours, and it was like I could have put 15 to 20 hours into like Solar Ash or Dishonored 2 or like any of these games that like I've got sitting that I've paid for, or Dead Space, like you know, we'll get to Dead Space later, teaser. So it's like it's
You're
just a
scumbag.
thing. I am. So it's just a thing where it's like I think rewatching movies, you kind of just have to decide for yourself if you know, like I get there's the idea of I'd rather be doing or I should be watching something new, but at the same time, you kind of just like you just kind of got to do what you want to do.
The biggest incentive for rewatching a movie, and that doesn't make it feel like a waste, is watching it with someone who hasn't seen that movie before.
That's a big one.
That's a big one.
Like I said, to me, it's like loving a movie and wanting to share it with people. That's one. 2, having like a comfort movie where I'm not like necessarily trying to be like super engaged with it. I'm just like, you know, watch it passively.
Yeah.
And then 3, my favorite movies ever that I like to regularly rewatch. Those are the 3 main reasons why I'd want to rewatch movies. Other than that, if it's a movie that I liked, but I didn't love enough that I wanted to like show it to everybody, and it didn't become one of my favorite movies that I want to rewatch all the time, and it didn't really become like a comfort movie of mine, then it's like I'm not gonna rewatch it really. Yeah. I
don't know how much more you guys want to add to this, but I want to take us
on
a
much.
Tangent.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Wow, okay.
Go ahead.
Just a tangent here. With the most recent girl I was talking to, we tried watching Spiderverse.
The most recent model.
Oh, I didn't mean to make it sound like that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay. So we tried watching Spiderverse.
Yeah.
She made a weird comment.
Is she gonna watch this?
Huh?
She's not gonna know about this, is she?
Even if she does, I'm not saying something bad.
Oh, okay. I thought you were about to lead into something like, oh, like she said so.
No. Even if she
said this weird.
I don't hide anything. I haven't hidden anything from her, but so she said that she made this weird comment, and we talked about it a little bit. But we were watching the movie on Netflix Party, and we watched a portion of the movie, which, first of all, and I've made this clear to her, maniac,
insanity,
can't do
insanity.
that. For people who get up during movies to go to the bathroom, miss parts of the movie. How do you know?
Yeah.
People who are like,
and they don't pause it for some reason.
Like, I'm tired. Let's watch it another day. What?
I've done that once with Princess Mononoke. I was the one that initiated that, and I'm sorry for that. But
dirt person.
Yeah. So why did I bring that up? Oh yeah,
weird comment.
Yeah, exactly. So we watched a portion of it, and like later that night before I went to bed, we like talked on the phone, and she was like, "Oh, you weren't really texting me a lot, like on Netflix Party while we were watching it. What's the point of even watching it together then?"
Oops.
And I was like, "What do you mean?"
Movie.
I was like, "We're experiencing the movie together. That's the point. Like and then we can talk all we want afterwards."
You know, it's interesting.
But she was like, "I was texting you more."
Yeah.
She was like, "I was texting you more, and like you weren't really reciprocating." And first of all, I was sending some messages here and there, but she didn't buy it. But either way, I was just trying to say to her that the point is we're experiencing it together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So here's what I'm gonna say about this.
Go ahead.
Because I've been watching a lot of movies with my girlfriend on like not on Netflix Party, but we'll just be like 3, 2, 1, play, and we'll play on Netflix at the same time.
Yeah.
Just like, and like for me, I've basically been doing this thing where like she's very like she doesn't really watch that many movies, and so like all of my favorite movies, she's never seen any of them. She's never seen any of never seen Blade Runner, never seen any like Tarantino movies, never seen any like
any Tarantino movies.
And I've watched so many with her now, and like she loves them a lot.
Yeah.
And like Wes Anderson,
how do you know she's just not saying? She's just like, she could just be saying that.
Because sometimes I'll show her a movie and she was like, eh.
Oh, okay.
Like I showed her Uncut Gems. She wasn't really crazy.
Because I feel like if you preface some movies with like, this is a great movie, like she'll feel pressured not to like.
I understand
bash
that.
on it.
Yeah,
right?
but anyway, so we have a list. Some of her movies, most of them mine. She's like, yeah, I just want show me whatever you want to show me. And like sometimes because I know them, most of the movies I watch with her, I'm rewatching because I'm like introducing movies to her that I love.
Yeah.
And I'll find lulls in the movie to like make a comment, say a fun fact about the movie or about this actor, about this improvised scene or whatever, or just like have a little conversation with her because I know which parts are like, you know, not as important. Like no dialogue's being said, no plot points like nothing's moving forward. It's just kind of like, you know, a wide shot and they're like kind of moving around, whatever.
Yeah.
So like I know when to do that and I'll talk a little bit.
Yeah.
But she's the type to like, I'll be like, is everything all right or whatever? She's like, yeah, no, I'm just like I'm watching the movie. I'm enjoying the movie.
Oh, okay.
So she doesn't really like want to have a conversation, which is normal.
Yeah.
I'm more of the kind of talkative type.
So you're like the girl I just referenced. I'm not gonna say her name.
Not completely.
Okay.
Because to me, it's like I would never be like, oh, like why aren't you talking more?
Well, she wasn't. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I
or like,
wanna,
like I wouldn't bring it up to her and be like, oh, like why are you not talking? It's like,
yeah.
I was just curious. I was like, is everything cool? Because she was like quiet for a while. I was just like, yeah, I'm just like enjoying the movie and watching the movie.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, yeah.
On the off chance she does hear this, I just want to make sure she understands that I'm not trying to mischaracterize. Sure. She wasn't upset about it or anything. She was just. It was just like a
covering his ass.
A comment.
Oh, yeah.
I refuse to watch movies like online virtually with people anymore because it's such a shitty experience. I don't know how you guys do it.
It's actually.
Hold
on. Don't say how you guys
Matty,
do it as if I do it on a regular basis.
No, but if we're getting to the point that you're watching a movie with someone and you're not having a conversation with them, then what's the difference between them sitting with you watching?
No, I hear what he's saying though, because it's like there's the chat bar is there.
No, but I'm talking about not Netflix party. I'm talking about watching a movie online with someone, but you're not like using one of those streaming services. You're just both on Netflix and you go 3, 2, 1, go play, and then you're just watching it on Netflix.
Oh.
Like to me, that eliminates the problem. I don't know why
okay.
Netflix party is such a shitty. I was thinking about this. I was like, I understand that like people who can't watch together in person, whatever, do that.
Yeah.
But the bar's in the way, and sometimes like the syncing isn't very good, and then it has to like buffer and then sync, especially with like the Disney Plus watch party. It sucks. And then we were like, at some point we were like, you know what? Let's just do 3, 2, 1, go. I'm like, okay, I'm at 0 seconds.
So you're telling me that whole story you told us, when you said I message her sometimes, I was imagining a chat.
No.
Like you just.
No, I'm on the phone. We're on the phone. We're on a phone call.
Oh.
The whole time watching the movie.
How does that work?
I just put her on speaker, and she's just on my phone call, and I'm on like we're just.
Where does the audio come out of then?
My phone. I'm watching on my TV.
Yeah, so she can hear your TV audio.
No, because I keep it like at a medium level.
Okay.
And like my phone's automatically filters out. Like I'm like it's like close to me, and I'm like and I can't hear her audio or like barely hear her audio, and she said she can't really hear mine because I don't blast it. I go like low to medium level, and I also put subtitles on as well.
Okay.
This entire conversation is proof to me about why watching movies is like watching movies this way is just I can't do it.
Yeah.
Because I know like when COVID was going on and sort of the like embryonic stage of our like wheel thing was us like kind of watching movies online like that. I know we watched the movie like Interstellar that way. That was the first time I've ever seen it. And it was like cool, whatever. But I'm like, you know what I would have rather done?
Yeah.
Like watched Interstellar in the room with you guys.
Yeah.
And all had the like holy shit moments together. Instead of seeing a text message pop up. Holy shit. That was awesome.
You're right.
Like I just don't think.
Can I come clean?
Please.
I fell asleep during Indiana Jones.
That's great.
I did not. I was watching it and I was like, I wasn't really into it.
I fell asleep when they were in Egypt.
I think I was talking to you about it. I think we were both like, I don't really want to. I don't know.
I never did that.
I don't know if it was you or Malcolm, but I remember
it was definitely. Was it Malcolm?
I don't know. I just remember watching it and being like, I was kind of excited about this, but I was like kind of let down a little bit.
All-time classic. That's whatever though. Yeah, I don't know.
It's whatever though.
To conclude your side tangent here, Patrick. I can't do the like online movie thing.
And also like I love Spiderverse. I love the first one, so I was just trying to re-experience the movie, and I wasn't getting upset when she was like messaging, and like I was fine with it, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like my response again is, why watch at all if we're not going to text each other to experience the movie together?
Yeah.
Simple as that. Anyways, do you want to add anything to this topic, or are we?
No, that was about it.
All right.
Rewatching movies.
The only
See you guys.
The only thing I want to say.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna throw out the other topic because it's like literally it could be a 2-second thing.
No, don't.
I won't do it because I'm not gonna use it any other time.
Okay, let's just cold open it next time.
Okay, sure. Cut all this out. You know what I never want to rewatch again? Die Hard. Patrick, go ahead.
Oh, when I was a kid, so Matty brought up how he watched Saving Private Ryan constantly as a kid. Mine was Die Hard 2, Die Harder.
Die Harder.
Literally the name of the movie.
That
one takes place in an airport.
Hell yes.
I'm gonna put that on me. Anyways,
Please don't.
Okay, so my topic's a little more serious, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not that yours was lighthearted. It was neutral. Your topic was neutral.
I'd say it wasn't like super lighthearted, but also wasn't like super deep.
Yeah. Mine's not gonna be super deep, but just to, I guess, paint the picture. The stem of this topic, or the root of this topic, came a few months ago. Let's call it maybe 6 months ago. I was on the phone with Adriano. We were just catching up. Adriano, by the way, is a friend of ours who's playing professional soccer in Poland.
Dedicated listener, I hear.
He is.
Shout out Adriano. We love you.
Shout out
We're
Adriano.
thinking about you and your slim, nimble body.
Uh-huh.
Anyways.
Oh, yeah.
You're so gross, bro.
Go on, Patrick.
Slim, nimble body. But yeah, so we were talking, let's call it 6 months ago. And
Let's call it 5 months.
let's call it 5 months. Fuck it, let's call it 4 months. No, but basically the topic of the conversation was just I guess, your calling in life, to put it broadly. Because, and I'm still kind of in this boat, I don't really know where I'm headed with regards to my career, I guess we can say, quote unquote. And he said this phrase to me, which I want to discuss a little bit with you guys. He said, imagine money wasn't an issue. What would you be doing if it weren't?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And ever since he brought that up, I thought like I'd think about it. It would come to my mind, and slowly I'd reflect. And I'm going to say 2 broad points about that sort of thought exercise. Firstly, I found so far that my answer has changed over time. Like, it's not one thing.
Yeah.
And it's, with that consideration, it's almost like it's hard to, I'm not saying it's a bad litmus. I'm not saying it's a bad way of trying to decide where you want to be in life or where you want to go, because clearly, like, if we're going to take Adriano as an example, he's pursuing what he believes is his calling in life.
Sure.
And he's like 100% dedicated to that, which 100%, or like all the respect to him kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for me, I've been trying to apply the same philosophy that he's applying in his own life, and I'm just not grounded to one thing like he is.
Me neither. Well,
so
the thing is, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I've hogged the mic long enough. Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, like, to me with certain I have found the kind of career that I think I would really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know that I'm gonna, like, who knows what's gonna happen until I start it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, maybe when I start it, I'll be like, I like this, but I don't like it as much as I thought. Maybe I want to switch to something else. Who knows? But like, to me, it's like, I personally believe that I'll really like being a teacher.
Yeah.
But there's certain things where it's like the exercise of, if you didn't have money as a problem, or so to think about what would you want to do, it's like, with him, he's been sure for a very long time that this is what he wants. He wants to pursue professional soccer for, he's been sure of that for a long time.
He has, yeah.
So unless it's something that you've been sure about for a very long time, like you said, your answer is going to keep changing. So there really is no way to know what your calling is until it calls to you literally. Like, until you experience different things, and then you like find it naturally. There's no, like, if you don't know it now, you probably just can't predict it until you just try different things, more, and then maybe you try 3 to 4 different things, and then the 5th thing is that you find out is your true calling or whatever.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to bring up was another problem I found with this thought exercise is, and this is the answer currently I have, is, okay, what would you do if money wasn't an issue? My answer right now is
nothing.
Travel the world, go to as many places as I can.
Yeah.
See as many sites as I can.
But that's not a job to just go around.
And that's what that's what I want to bring up, is it's not feasible, and it's sure it's cool. Like, I came up with that answer, but there's no way currently I don't see a way for me to act on that kind of thing.
Well, but obviously
It's-
when they say like when he says if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing?
Yeah.
He means like in the kind of like I don't know. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but
Yeah.
he's obviously referring to in the kind of like
Like job kind of thing.
being productive sense.
Yeah.
In the kind of like doing something, you're producing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like something coming from you, as opposed to you're just like going around like experiencing stuff.
Yeah.
It's like no, like what are you going to be doing? Because
Yeah.
going around and like going new places and it's not like you're actually like something's like coming out of your energy and you're producing something. It's that you're just like just looking and observing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what would actually come from you type thing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I've got the perfect job for you, Patrick.
What?
You got to be a flight attendant.
Flight attendant. Yeah.
Travel the world.
And then
Archaeologist.
One
Indiana Jones.
one last problem I've sort of reflected on with regards to thinking about this hypothetical is take somebody who thinks about, you know, their life without money, and they say musician, for example, or they say actor. The last sort of consideration is you can't base it solely on, at least in my opinion, is you can't base it solely on what you want, because you can't always have what it is you want, kind of thing. Does that make sense? Like, not everyone can be an actor, for example. We'll just stick with the acting example. And you decide, okay, if money was an issue, I would be acting, right? But there's just some people who it
doesn't come to them.
it doesn't come to them. It's not it. It's
Well, I guess
it's not in their wheelhouse, kind of thing.
So I guess you'd have to also consider, you know, competency and skill in terms of like you have to combine it with the. It can't just be pure desire. It has to be like what are you actually skilled at? What are you like naturally gifted at?
And this sort of statement sort of brings up the idea of can anyone do anything? And I don't know what your opinion on that is. Do you guys want to?
I don't think that's
no.
Yeah, I don't think like you said with acting is a good example, or singing is a better example because it's like you either have a good voice or you don't. You can get like a vocal coach and get a little bit better, but you can't go from like a horrendous voice to like an incredible voice. It's like certain things are just naturally there.
Yeah.
And you know, same with acting. Like some people will just never be able to like act convincingly.
Well, for me, the thing with can anyone do anything, I feel like it sort of presumes, like to say, oh, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. It presumes that the one variable to success is working hard.
Yeah, which is not the case.
And it just can't be the case. What other thing in life can we boil down to one variable like that?
Yeah.
It just doesn't like add up in my head. And yeah, so that's the last sort of thing with this sort of hypothetical is I feel like it sort of
ignores limitations
in a way. Do you guys have anything to add with regards to criticisms or?
I mean, I have an answer.
To what you would want to be doing if money was an issue?
Well, my answer
What's your
to
answer?
calling without money is the same.
Making movies?
Pretty much, it's just to create stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's like my calling. And if you said money's not an issue,
your calling. Yeah.
money's not an issue, what would you be doing? It'd be like same answer, create stuff,
Yeah.
and now I don't have to worry about like.
That's admirable. I mean, Adriano has the same thing where it's like, whether money is an issue or not, his answer is soccer. Whether money is an issue or not, you found your calling. You want to create media. You want to create, which is, again, admirable. I haven't really found that sort of thing for myself. And Mark, I don't know. It sounds like you haven't either, but.
I feel like I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I've entered a profession that I feel like I'm going to really like.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that it's like my true calling, I don't know for sure.
Yeah, not yet.
And I feel like for a lot of people, they might try to like, and I'm not saying this is the case with you or Adriano, Matty, but like, I feel like some people, they'll just be like, okay, this is my calling, and they just want to like latch on to whatever it is, just to like make themselves like calm down, like feel comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, this is what I'm doing, and this is my true calling. But then they find out that it's not, and they switch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. But to me, it's like I don't like firmly committing, being like, this is my 100% my true calling, because I know that things change.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna grow up more, and I'm gonna change my mind about certain things. I'm gonna change my opinions. I'm gonna be a different person than I am now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, and I think I relate with you in terms of like, what was I gonna say? I don't know what I was gonna say, but yeah, sorry.
So just to build on just one last leg of the conversation, I tried thinking about it in a different like sense, and I think Adriano was trying to get at something differently than what I like was thinking with the first points I raised. I think the question is meant to get you to address what it is you want, okay? And after considering like the competency aspect, after you isolate what it is you want, then from there you need to think of ways to make it happen, kind of thing. So, for example, the traveling thing that I brought up, this is the essence of maybe what I want my life to look like. Okay, now it's up to me. Like, what I'm trying to say is the thought exercise is simply meant to, I think, boil down the essence of what it is you want. Now, how to get there is easy. It's an easier task to think of the plan to how to get there, because you've mapped out the destination, kind of thing.
But the thing with you for like traveling, for example, that doesn't necessarily have to boil down to a job. It could just be It could just be that your job is like, you don't have to work insane hours, or maybe you get like summers off, whatever it is, and you have more time for vacations or whatever.
You can, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
so I thought we were limiting ourselves to like, occupationally, because what you're saying is not like traveling isn't just like a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, so I thought if we're talking about like how to get there, well, then it doesn't really have to necessarily rely on your job.
But even with regards to, like, you don't have to think about it too one-dimensionally. Like, for example, if your final goal or your essence or what you want to see from your life or how you want to live your life is, I want to be traveling way more often, then maybe it's a thing of, okay, how can I get there? Maybe it's one of those things where, okay, I need to have a remote job. That's the first thing. And if I have a remote job, then I have the freedom to be...
Or maybe my job just involves traveling a lot.
Maybe my job involves traveling. It could be a number of things. But see, my point is, once you decide where it is you want to be, your brain starts thinking of ways to get there.
But to me, the ultimate problem for a lot of people, including, like, for a long time, what I felt about myself and how I still partly feel about myself is that, like, I don't know what I want.
And that's the thing. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. That's the first thing you need to tackle. And just to end off here... with regards to your brain thinking of ways of like doing things, this doesn't really relate, but it's just something that came to my mind as well that emulates the same sort of idea. I'm reading this book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a pretty famous book, and one of the things he says in it as well is the difference between the rich mentality and the poor mentality. He doesn't say this verbatim, but the essence of what he's saying is the difference between someone who's like a rich mentality versus a poor mentality is how they talk to themselves about money. Like, for example, he says his poor dad, quote unquote, says stuff like, oh, I can't afford this, versus his rich dad says stuff, how can I afford this? And I know, like, you hear this stuff from motivational speakers and it's kind of corny, but I think it's true. Like, you need to sort of rewire your brain through your words. Your speech and your thoughts literally are what construct your reality. So just to bring us back to the topic at hand, like, find out what I understood from Adriano, and I think I'm done reflecting on, the hypothetical he posed me, is figure out what it is you want, and then your brain will start thinking of ways in which you can achieve it. And to the point of like singing, for example, we made good points in like, you can't always have what you want, but it can boil down to something even more simple, which could be like music. So it doesn't like you'll find a way, is what I'm trying to say. Like,
whether you can get, if you can't exactly get what you want, at least you can have it be incorporated into something else that you like. Like, if you love just traveling, and there's no job as traveler, it's not a job, but like, even Matty was joking around saying like, oh, like, be like a flight attendant, like that's an actual option. You get to visit a lot of different places, or like someone who does like international business or whatever. It's like, whether like your actual primary job is like what your ultimate goal is, it doesn't matter, as long as like you're incorporating your true desire into it somehow.
So you're saying manifest, Patrick?
I guess. No, that's not. I'm not saying that.
No, but I get what you're getting at with the point of the thought exercise, with the idea being like, what if you could be doing anything, what would you be doing? Okay, if you have an answer, now it's on you to sort of like, fill the gap between where you are now and where you want to go, kind of thing, which is why it's like an interesting thing. Because in my case, it's like, when I think about it, it's like, okay, create shit. It's like, well, I've got the like movie avenue of, you know, getting a job in the film industry and like hopefully slowly but surely working my way up some sort of ladder to maybe get to a point where I can like, you know, work on other cool shit, but like hopefully get my own cool shit made. Or like, you know, I talk about it all the time, but like the idea of being able to write comic books is a thing where it's like, okay, well, if I want to actually be able to do that, I have to start taking some of the like, you know, dozens of fucking ideas I have and actually picking one, at least to start to focus on, then developing it, then writing it, then like, you know, pursuing it in a way and looking for artists and all that shit. So it's like there's different, you know, it's not necessarily a straight line. It is a tree branch of sorts with lots of, you know, branching paths. And it's just like, you know, it's interesting thinking about what those options are and how you would achieve your dreams.
Making a video game, maybe.
To me, I just feel like even if I was like 1,000,000% sure about what my calling is, it's like, to me, what the beautiful thing about life is that it's just about you going down a path and then you're following your own like will, like what you want, and then if that changes, that's okay. So it's like, as long as you're the worst thing you could be doing is not trying stuff and just kind of staying idle, because then you're gonna
even
go
being inauthentic.
Sure, because then you're gonna go nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, but if you're genuinely like, okay, I'm gonna follow my interest genuinely, and if it leads you to a good place, sure, great, you've done it. If it doesn't, then you just pivot and then try something else. And it's like, as long as you're going out there and putting yourself out there and trying stuff, it's like you'll find something that you really like at some point. Whether so
okay. Good talk, guys. And Adriano, thank you for the inspiration.
We love you.
Thank you, Adriano. We love you.
So, Matty, your calling is fuck bitches get money?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
Pretty much.
Well, take us away then with this next topic.
And if money wasn't an issue, just fuck bitches.
Whoa.
Let's go.
I'm so sorry, Varsh. So I'd like to steer us back to a slightly more lighthearted thing. And I apologize in advance of this topic, because this is probably the kind of topic that I should have like told you guys about beforehand and given you time to think about. But I
hate you so
I was
much.
I was normally I know what I want to talk about going into the show like hours in advance, but today was one of those rare days where I just wasn't really sure, and I kind of thought of a new topic idea earlier today, like a couple hours ago, that I was like, oh, this would be interesting to talk about. And then I was like sitting here before we started
If it requires
rolling.
me to think on my feet, I hate you. Go on.
A little bit. I want to talk about something that is personally very interesting to me, and that is video game design.
Okay.
Now, this is sort of a broad-ranging thing, but I just kind of wanted to get into like the philosophy behind how certain games are designed, and also like certain video game mechanics, and like some of your
like
favorite.
Bethesda, for example, like their philosophy.
Sure, that would be like a more philosophical example, but like just the design ideas behind games, or like certain mechanics or like tricks and things that games do that like stick out to you guys as interesting. I have some primers here that I wrote down a little earlier while we were recording, just to kind of like get your guys ahead in the game of what I'm thinking about, and also examples I think worth talking about. For example, I'll save that one. I'll talk about one we all know. Web swinging in Spider-Man. I think is such a simple mechanic that obviously it's a Spider-Man game. It's going to have swinging. And I know there are other open world games, like I'm talking specifically the PS4 Spider-Man, but we could broaden it out to like, the Spider-Man 2 video game, or like my beloved Ultimate Spider-Man. And it's like, specifically in Spider-Man, the PS4 one, well, with what modern technology allows you to do, I think is such an interesting way in which movement in video games is usually one of the like least interesting things about a video game, especially in like an open world game like that. Like you think about a game like Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's like, you know what, like the least interesting part about Red Dead 2 is riding from point A to B on your fucking horse. Like it's really not. And that's also like a Rockstar problem of like even Grand Theft Auto. It's like, all right, we're going to drive from point A to B. It's like there's not really much to that. And then you think about a game like Spider-Man, where it's like you know what kind of one of the best parts about Spider-Man PS4 is? Just swinging around New York and how like fast and kinetic and like fun it is to just moving in that game.
Also like grounded too. It feels like it doesn't feel like over the top. It doesn't feel like you're flying, because you don't want to feel like you're just like straight up flying.
Yeah, you're not
You want to feel like the weight of like and the momentum, and swinging, and like the weight, and then like releasing at the right time and like flinging yourself.
Yeah, so it's just a thing to me where it's like that is a design idea and a game mechanic where they take movement, which again in a lot of games isn't like fun or a core part of it, and they turned it into something fun and interesting and that like you want to be doing. Like, put it this way, I never fast travel when I'm playing Spider-Man.
Me neither.
When I'm playing other open world games and I need to get from point A to point B,
like Far Cry.
Yes, I'm hitting that fucking fast travel every single time. Spider-Man is one of those games where it's like I never fast travel at all because I would rather swing from point A to B kind of thing. So there's a little primer for you. I have others here that I can rattle off. Now, Patrick, these next two will be slightly less familiar to you.
Can I ask you, are you throwing out specific game mechanics from specific games? Or just general game mechanics?
I think if there are general broad ones you wanted to toss out, I think that is totally fair and acceptable to me. Right now, I'm just kind of narrowing it down to specific ones. The Leviathan axe.
I was literally
from
about
the
to say
most
that.
recent God of War games.
Oh
Patrick,
my
I know
God,
you have not
dude.
played yet.
It's Thor's hammer.
It's basically Thor's hammer. The axe is such a what a brilliant weapon, what a brilliant implementation. Just throwing it, the subtle little vibration in the controller when it catches.
If it clinks on other metal, you can hear the metal noise and you can feel the little vibration, like the ding, and it vibrates. And then when you click it, you feel like your controller shake. And then when you catch it, it kind of like boom, like your controller does like a little like vibration. Speaking of vibration, my mom's calling me.
What? Perfect time.
Can we? What do we do?
I mean,
just answer.
Just answer, I guess. Anyways,
there you go.
Thanks, Mark's mom.
But like catching it again, like throwing it and catch, because I feel like that game mechanic could be gimmicky and feel like shitty.
Sure.
But it's done so well, and it feels like there's weight to it. Same with the Spider-Man thing. It could feel very over the top, and like it just kind of. But the way the Leviathan axe like sticks into wood, and the way like it kind of like scratches materials and like or bounces off, and kind of like the physics looks so real where it bounces and it kind of like it goes still for a second and it falls. Like, I don't know. It just feels so weighty and real.
And it's like a thing of like there are tons and tons and tons and tons of like great fun to use video game weapons. But it's like the axe sticks out from a mechanical perspective and again a design perspective of like this is so wonderfully implemented and like adds so much to the game. The other one I was going to toss out there, and I have more to toss out, but just quickly, and then I can pass it to you guys if hopefully your gears are turning. And I haven't put you two on the spot here. This is another one, Patrick. I apologize, but in Ghost of Tsushima, the open world samurai game, they implemented a wonderful, fantastic design element / mechanic where if you want to navigate in the world, from what I remember, there aren't waypoints. You can set markers on the map like in an open world game, but it's not GTA where you set the marker and like a yellow line shows up on your map telling you where to go.
This is so cool.
All it really gives you is a marker that you can like see on your compass or your map or whatever, and it gives you like, you know, the meter thing of like how far away are you, like the little number thing that like a lot of open world games have. But if you want like to be guided in terms of where to go, all you do on the PS4 or 5 remote is you just swipe on the touchpad and the wind blows like in the direction
visibly like
you're supposed to be going. Like you'll see the wind blowing through the trees and like leaves and grass gets like kicked up and shit in the breeze. And it's just such a like
so sick,
simple, immersive like way of guiding the player that isn't as obvious as like go here, go right here. This is exactly where you should be going and how to get there.
You know what I didn't hate too? I feel like you probably didn't like this, but I kind of liked it in the game that I was playing, like where I kind of enjoyed in BioShock Infinite. You'd click a button and then there would be like just an arrow on the ground.
Infinite, I think, did it they basically did it the way Dead Space kind of does it. Like I said earlier, we're going to get to Dead Space in a second. And even Infinite to me is a step up because it's like BioShock. The entire time you are playing BioShock, there is that yellow bobbing arrow at the top of the screen
don't like that.
pointing you like where to go. Whereas Infinite, yeah, there is no indication of where you need to go. If you want an indication, you tap like down on the D-pad or whatever, and the green arrow pops up on the floor.
And what I like
and
about
then it disappears after a couple
it
seconds.
like fades away. And what I like about
Exactly.
it is that it's like very subtle. It's not like a very bright color. They made it a very like very pale green. It's like kind of hard to see it almost sometimes. And if you click it, it'll like it doesn't just like go here. It's not like a straight arrow. It's like it'll draw an arrow. It'll like if you have to curve left, you click it and then it goes like whoosh, and then it'll just like draw an arrow curving left, and then it'll fade away.
Exactly. And it's up to you to use.
You don't have to use it.
Like you don't have to.
You can
use
just explore, and then you'll find the main mission at some point.
2 things.
Mm.
First thing is you've saddened me because you were revealing to me how much I've missed, how much I haven't played, and how much I want to play.
Mm.
I think I found my answer for my calling.
Play video games.
Second thing is I think I understand what you're, because I was so confused for the first
Game design.
Yeah, so
It's a broad-
you're asking us to brainstorm unique game mechanics that we think.
Certain game mechanics
Yeah.
or philosophies. Again, like one example that would be more philosophical
one?
thing, please.
Well, I brought up Bethesda already. Whenever
Sure.
I play a Bethesda game, they do so good in making a world
Yes.
that like I feel a part of and is just teeming with life and possibility.
Yes.
To put broadly, like for example, Skyrim. I love Skyrim because of like all the like freedom you have or whatever, but also the world. Like literally, I love the characters and just interacting like in the different cities. It's
You know what?
yeah.
You know what I'll say too? I think a game. I don't know if this is a game mechanic really, but it's just kind of maybe it's more philosophical. But like certain games that have constant dialogue, like. When I play Uncharted, I love it so much because even if you're walking around from point A to point B, like you and Sully are having a conversation, or you know he's talking to Elena or whatever. Like there's like conversations that are just going on, and it's like even if it's something mundane going on, like you're just climbing, they'll be having conversations, and they're so well voiced, the characters, and the conversations are actually interesting and they're well written. So it's like having that going on is like really helpful. Like same thing with Red Dead. Sometimes you'd be riding with someone, and even though it's kind of a boring point A to point B horse ride, you're like engaged with what the conversation is. Because It's just really good.
They
adds to
use
the- it adds to
lore and narrative and plot to like
'Cause some-
fill in because the same thing with Uncharted. Climbing in Uncharted is whatever,
Sure.
but it becomes interesting when you're listening to them talk about shit.
Yeah, and I think it's just like some games don't have that, and when I play a game that doesn't have that, it's really missed because I'm just
Right.
like just going from point A to point B, and I'm just like almost kind of like going into a trance of just like boredom, just like I'm just going
It's
here.
just silent.
Sure,
Kind of
yeah.
thing. I think Assassin's Creed is kind of like that.
Oh, like the silence.
Yeah,
Well, because you're like an assassin, you're by yourself. You're going from you're
That's
trying to
right.
find the
that's right.
Yeah, and in term like another thing that you even made me think of in terms of like the not constant, but like having dialogue and just things going on. Not that BioShock invented it. I mean, System Shock before it, and I'm sure other games had it, but just the idea of audio logs in video games
love it
is like such a brilliant mechanic to me in BioShock, where it's like
because it's optional.
because it's optional. I think it's pretty goddamn integral, but it's like you look at a game like Control, which is such a weird, dense, like lore-rich game that I know so little about because all of it is in like text documents that you find in the world, and it's like I'm not reading a fucking Shakespeare's play
Sure.
or two worth of like reading while I'm playing Control. I want to go back to flying around and throwing boulders with my mind. Whereas in BioShock, it's the thing of like, you can keep doing all this cool gameplay shit while the story is being presented to you. And like, even I was watching some interview with Ken Levine, the director of BioShock and Infinite, not too long ago, where he talked about like what an interesting writing exercise those audio logs were, because it's like the idea is they all have to be like about a minute long, which means you have like about 100 words and you have to write. Like, it puts you in a very interesting writing place because it's like the limitations force you to be very like every word counts kind of thing, and you don't have time to like ramble on kind of thing. Like, they need to be these concise, to the point, while also being like effective things and interesting and engaging and all the shit, and like make you want to
Yeah.
listen to the next one and keep finding them and keep getting things.
I replayed Infinite recently, and I loved the fact that you could play the audio log when you pick it up, and then you can click the down button to just replay the most recent audio log.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm in an intense moment, I miss it. I'm like, shit, I was kind of like focused on like not dying here for a second. And then when I get to a quiet place, I just click the down button and it replays the most recent one and I just listen to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can just open the menu and you can read the transcription. Like you can read the written word, which is cool.
Yeah, you can get like a text version if you want it.
Yeah. Sometimes I just like reading it and it's cool. But I love that sort of stuff where like you said, for BioShock, it's like, it's pretty important to gain context. You're not gonna be lost if you don't listen to them. But you understand a lot more if you listen to them, you know?
Yeah.
It's a really cool mechanic.
Yeah, I would argue it's pretty damn integral. Yes, you could play through all of the first game without any of the audio logs, but I think you'd be missing so much. But to Patrick's point too about the like Bethesda design, that is something that I think is such an interesting philosophy that has been like, I think, carried on and bettered as time has gone on. Because like people always talk about like Fallout 3, like the moment early within the first like hour of the game of when you leave Vault 101 for the first time, and it is just stepping out into the wasteland, and like especially in 2008, it being a big deal before open world games are like so dominant. Just the thing of like, holy shit, I really can't go anywhere in this like world now. Like you've just set me loose into this playground kind of thing. And I think that's the philosophy that's been carried on and bettered by games like Elden Ring, where people talk about like, here you go, and like most recently with Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like how much freedom there is in that game. And it's like playing Breath of the Wild, a word I never would have like thought to associate with Breath of the Wild would be like constrained. But playing Tears of the Kingdom, it's like, holy shit, like people thought Breath of the Wild was this like, go anywhere you want. Yeah, that mountain in the distance, you can climb it kind of thing. It's like people said that shit about Breath of the Wild, and I think Tears of the Kingdom topped even that of like, it really is a like true freedom. Like there's so much room for like the player to fill in the blanks. And it's like people talk about with like the mechanics they give you of like building shit or fusing weapons or like the thing that lets you fly through ceilings and whatever. It's like there are so many times playing Tears of the Kingdom where it's like I'm trying to get somewhere or I'm like doing a shrine, and it's like, yeah, this shrine was designed with like, here's how you complete the puzzle, but it's like I just figured out how to do it some other way and basically broke it wide open. And it was like just as satisfying to like figure it out on my own and break it apart kind of thing.
I'd like to point out it's a fine line though, because it can get to a point where, and it hasn't gone to this point yet, at least with regards, in my opinion, to Bethesda, but it's a fine line in that it can be too much. Right. And we were talking about this with Starfield the other day. Yes. Where it seems like they are really pushing the line here. And like, you know, it looks as if it's going to be overwhelming, but I don't know. Bethesda usually nails it.
I get what you mean, because to me, it's like I personally prefer more linear games in general. I love open world games. Like Far Cry 3 is one of my favorite games ever, and it's a pretty open world game. But like, to me, I like more guided stories. And when I think about a game mechanic that I really like, one that naturally I've been thinking of, like when you brought up this topic, I thought of a couple, but there's one that I noticed even as like a teenager playing Uncharted, which is like there are certain like chase sequences or something where like you're running down a hall and like the camera pivots slightly to the right, and so you got to go right, and there's like it feels very natural and instinctive. Like you just like I'm like, it's like a really fast, intense chase sequence, and you're jumping from this building to this building, then this rooftop, and then you're turning here, and you're squeezing in between this ledge here, and it's like all of it is like so well orchestrated and constructed that it feels natural. And sometimes like there would be like every once in a while where I'd like die in a chase sequence. I'd be like, shit, it wasn't really clear where I was supposed to go for a second. But 99.9% of the time it was so perfectly done that I was like, I just knew where to go because of the camera angles that they were like slight, and they were very subtle sometimes, like a very slight turn, and okay, now I'm going this way, and then there would be like you'd be running and there's like two paths, and then like an enemy starts to come out of one path, so you instinctually, your brain goes turn, go right, pivot right, because he's coming from the left, and then you just like, I like that kind of game mechanic of like being guided naturally through a path.
Yeah. Well, cool. I was gonna say too, because you just made me think of with the Naughty Dog thing. I remember when I was like trying to play The Last of Us with my mom, and we didn't get far into it, and we just fucking watched the show anyways when it came out, and she loved
Great show.
it.
Pat,
Was
you gotta
like
watch that show, dude.
like me trying to like tell her things about game design, where I'm like, because a lot of times when I'm playing games and my mom's like, if she's watching me for 5 seconds, she always asks the question of like, how do you know where to go?
Yeah.
And when I'm like playing Zelda, I'm like, well, it's really up to me where I want to go. But like, she'll watch me play things and be like, how do you know where the fuck you're supposed to go next? And like when we were playing Last of Us, I was telling her, I was like, what they did with Last of Us 1 specifically, what Naughty Dog did with it, I was like, yellow is their guiding color. She's like, what do you mean? And I like would give her examples. I was like, okay, well, we're standing in like an area early in the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think we're supposed to go? And I would sort of just pan the camera around like 360 the environment. And she'd look and she'd be like, well, that ledge there has like yellow paint on the wall. I'd be like, there you go. I'd be like, that's what they did with Last of Us. Even in the beginning of the game when you're Joel running with Sarah away from the clickers and shit, and that final kind of stretch where you like run down towards the bridge.
Yeah.
There's a gap in the wall, sure, but there's yellow caution tape blowing in the wind that is put there specifically to catch your eye and be like, oh, I'm probably supposed to go that way.
I didn't even notice that, but to me, it just felt natural where I was supposed to go. Maybe that was an unconscious thing that I.
But
just
that's
noticed.
the thing where it's like it's not supposed to be obvious. It is supposed to just be like,
A
oh, the
small
yellow
hint
sticks out, so
something's
it's
going
like
on
there's
there.
something.
Well, also, like I feel like a lot of the times it'll be like that, the visual cue, whether it's unconscious or not, like it's unconscious for me, and then also the what the characters are saying.
Right.
Like Tommy will be like alleyway on your right, and he'll say like go into the alleyway on your right or whatever, or he'll say like or you'll be just following someone, that's easier. Or if they like just like mention what the area looks like oh by the truck over there, and you're like, whoa, which truck? And then you kind of see that symbol, that yellow thing mixed with there's like multiple cues pointing you there. And I just love how they I didn't even realize they did that, but that's so cool that they have all these different things pointing to that one direction.
Yeah, like for anybody who actually gives a shit, I would just say like replay or just even like watch the first few hours of Last of Us at some point and just like pay attention to it's like yellow is their color. Every time you need to climb, or like a lot of times you need to climb a ledge and it's like there's yellow paint on it, or like a bar you need to climb is a yellow pipe sticking out of a wall.
Same with Uncharted. There's a lot of color stuff, and or there's also like a lot of like I remember in the originals, I think yellow was a thing too. I don't remember if it was yellow, but there would be like certain bars that you'd see that you're like, oh, I know I can climb onto that.
Right.
I don't remember what it was about it that made you feel like you could just climb onto it, but I remember you just getting like habitually just being like, oh, that kind of ledge, that kind of look of a ledge is what one I can climb.
Right. So that, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So it's just like I said before, as we go out here, and then I'll get to my last one. Unless you guys have more you want to rattle off.
I just have one that I need to mention.
Please.
Go ahead.
Oh, now?
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, I feel like we would be silly if we didn't mention the slide in first-person shooters. That one, that was a game changer. Literally a game changer.
You know what?
It just made it just made it flow so much better in multiplayer. It was just one of those things where just even out of multiplayer, just I remember playing like the campaign for the first time they introduced it in Call of Duty, I think.
Or Titanfall too.
Or Titanfall. It just works. It's just like, yeah, I'm
feels,
running. It's like intense.
Smooth.
Yeah. It feels smooth, and it's also like it matches like the energy of the game kind of thing. Like,
more fast-paced.
Fast-paced, thank you. That's what I'm looking for.
And to me, like one that I really like that you reminded me of is one that they introduced. This probably wasn't the first game that did it.
Was it
for
the
sure?
Hook?
What?
The Hook?
No, I was thinking of in The Last of Us Part 2, and Matty, you probably know where I'm going with this. Maybe. It's like being able to lie completely prone, like flat on the ground, and army crawl like under a car. Like there'll be a random like destroyed truck, and you can literally army crawl and go and hide under the truck, and people are walking by, and then when they leave, you just army crawl out and get up. Or you could like, and there's like a lot of verticality in the game too. You could just climb trucks, climb this ledge, and get onto the fourth floor of the building or whatever. Yeah. So when I was playing in that game, I was like, this is so cool because I feel like, and you know, in so many games, you'd go up to a door and it'd be like, even in Spider-Man, like there'd be so many different places, and it's like you walk up to the door and you can't open it. Like 99% of the doors are unopenable. Yeah. And so it just kind of feels like, it feels a little bit fakey. But with Last of Us 2, yeah, there are a lot of doors that you can't open and shit, but like I felt like I can go way more places than than a lot of other games. I felt like I can go to very low places. I can go to very high places. I didn't think I could do that. And I could lay down prone and like snipe and then get up, and then crawl under there, and like it's so cool.
Well, you're reminding me of an example of bad game design when it's like anytime you're playing a first-person shooter, and if like it's anytime you're playing like even a third-person game, anytime you're playing a video game and you're in a room and there's a staircase with a fucking couch blocking it, and it's like can't go that way. It's like
Lots of us had that too.
Exactly. It's like as if this couch would stop anybody in real life from like getting up this set of stairs they needed to go up.
Or it'd be like in Last of Us, it'd be like a staircase, and then it would be like kind of like crumbled a little bit. It's like you can probably make that jump.
It's like you can probably figure like grab a plank or something and walk across.
This is less common, but a mechanic in which the map changes mid-game, and what I'm referring to specifically, one of the coolest moments I ever had in a multiplayer shooter, Battlefield 4, in that map with the tower.
Dude, skyscraper.
The skyscraper. I'm at the top of the tower. I remember the first time playing that map, and I get both an audio and like the soldier being like, "Oh, like you have to get out. It's gonna get destroyed," and like the alarm. Dude. And I remember running,
jumping into a helicopter,
not even jumping into a helicopter, breaking the window, and then like pulling my chute and like turning, and the tower just
game is so sick
and falls apart, and then it's just like a different map now. Like it's the same map, but it's the building destroyed. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Yeah, it's
also,
so good.
Another one that's not really connected to that, and I'm back to The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
There's a really sick mechanic that you have to play, Patrick, because I know Matty's played it obviously, but if someone is like going to melee attack you like an enemy, you could literally like lean dodge. So it's not like a dodge roll, where it kind of to me feels like a little bit over the top. If someone goes to swing at you, like you're not gonna do a full roll away.
It's not some Dark Souls shit.
But like in The Last of Us, someone will go like swipe down at you, and you can do like this dodge thing where you just like, and this is not gonna be good for audio, but you go like this. Like if someone goes to, you go like this.
You lean one way.
You like that.
I think this is going to be an episode where I'm inserting lots of images and clips just for some of the game stuff we're talking about.
Throw a clip in here, like Ellie getting stabbed and like going to get stabbed and like she jukes out of the way. You can lean out of the way and like counter, and like it just feels so sick. I feel like that mechanic in that game could be applied to a really good boxing game. The way you like slightly like juke and jive and get out of a punch and get out of a hit.
It's called Punch Out, fellas. That's I was gonna say too, to Patrick's thing about like I appreciate a good map change in a game, whether it is like a smaller multiplayer thing like that, or the example I always think of is I want to say Castlevania Symphony of the Night was the first Castlevania game to do it, but like the idea that like you could beat Symphony of the Night and get like the sort of bad ending, but if you did the secret shit, it would unlock the second map where it's the entire, and it's like this big ass Metroidvania. It's the entire castle map, but inverted upside down, and you would then have to go through all that again to like get the true ending and whatever the fuck. So it's like I appreciate a good map change. The last two I will toss out. One's broad across many games, and then the other is a specific part of a specific game, which I've only teased twice now. Grappling hooks. Put them in every game. Back to the Spider-Man point.
Uncharted 4 is
Uncharted
so sick,
4, grappling hook. Doom Eternal, grappling hook. Halo Infinite, grappling hook.
Titanfall 2?
Titanfall
2, yeah, you shoot it out, and it could stick to like the top of a building, and you zip line there.
Yeah.
Or it could be like more of like a swinging one.
I don't know what it is in video games, but there is something that never, ever, ever gets old about just attaching a grappling hook to something and either pulling yourself there or just swinging and using your momentum.
No game.
Like there's something about it that's just endlessly cool and appealing.
But I dare you to tell me that there was a game that did it better and more realistic than Uncharted 4. Because like whipping it, like kind of like twirling it and on your side, throwing it, and then you hearing it clink on the thing and it hooks onto it, and you jump, and again, like similar to like the swinging mechanic in Spider-Man, you feel the weight, and then you start to pick up speed when you hit down, and then you like can let go at the right time, or you could just like swing back.
Right.
And like just I don't know.
I love that.
It feels so crazy real, and I feel like there's no game that has that with Doom.
I was gonna bring up Doom Eternal, where that's such a fun grappling hook.
It's really fun, but it's more like cartoony of like
you
shoot
it's way
and then
more,
you like go straight to it.
Yeah,
like,
it's way more like gamified, but like just the thing of like when you would, because you could only get it on the double barrel shotgun, which is perfect, but like firing it at some demon far away and just zipping right up to his face and blasting him is always so much fun. Or like you could kind of use your momentum to swing yourself. Like if there was an enemy far away that you sniped and like got him to the glowing state where you could go do like the special execution, using the grappling hook on one enemy and like using them to propel yourself forward faster to that glowing enemy so that you could get to him and, like, you know, do the special execution to get your health bonus or whatever the fuck. Like, it's just put grappling hooks and everything. Every time I see a game and it adds, or there's like a game, like, I don't know, when it was Uncharted 4 or Doom Eternal, and it's like, hey, the game from before, but with grappling hooks. And it's always like, it's just perfect. So just game designers, developers, if you're out there, keep putting grappling hooks in. The last one I wanted to go into here. Now, I know neither of you have played this, but I do have a reference picture here. And it's a game that everybody should play, especially now that it's just been remade as of this year. Dead Space.
I played the first scenes of it.
UI, or user interface for the layman, is something in video games that I think is often overlooked, and people don't really think about bad UI until it hits them in the face. For example, anytime I'm playing a console game, like, I don't play Destiny, but I know Destiny's an example of it. But anytime I'm playing a console game and, oh, don't worry, I'm going to break this picture down for you guys in a second. Anytime I'm playing a console game and I'm navigating through a menu with a fucking mouse cursor, I want to put an ice pick through my brain.
Yeah.
Don't do that, UI designers. Overcluttered UI, terrible, just ugly looking, like,
can you define UI for the audience?
User
like
interface,
menus and like, or like if you're
health
playing a game,
bars
like
and
your
stuff.
health bars and like all that shit, like just
ammo on the bottom, whatever.
the stuff, yeah, like those kind of things in Vigima games. Dead Space,
That's so sick.
to me, is arguably one of, if not the greatest examples of doing UI the right way, because they did it in a way. Let me back up. Nowadays, there are a lot of games that, from a UI perspective, pride themselves on like the minimalist look. Or there's even like settings in games now where you can set the UI to like lower. Like in Tears of the Kingdom, I just have it set on normal, so like my mini map is always in the bottom right corner, and like my health and shit is always in the top left. But you could set it in a way where like you could turn the map off, kind of thing.
Or like Ghost,
if you wanted the Ghost was the same thing.
Ghost was like default minimal.
Yeah, like where you could kind of like adjust it so that you could have like more UI or less UI to kind of like, you know, if you wanted to navigate the world more naturally rather than having like, you know, a map and a compass kind of thing. Even a game like Last of Us 2, it's like one little white circle for your health bar and like an ammo counter, and that's basically your entire
I love how clean
HUD.
It feels. I love that too, because you get to experience, you get to see more of the world.
You're seeing more of the game. It's more immersive. It's supposed to be more cinematic. There's a million reasons for doing it. What I think is so infinitely, effortlessly, and will never get old about Dead Space's UI is that it is built into the game. Now, this image, which I will throw up on screen for you wonderful viewers, is Isaac Clarke, the gentleman you play as, in the middle of fighting a necromorph, nasty little bugger. Everything on Isaac's suit and the guns and weapons he uses is the UI. There is no other UI in the game other than what you are seeing right now. Now, the obvious one is the gun he is holding. The ammo counter is built into the gun, so it's like the 12 rounds in his gun. On the back of the suit, there is the blue line going like from sort of
that's the health
middle
bar?
of his back all the way up. That's the health bar.
Bro, that's so sick.
So when you take damage in the game,
That goes
it
down.
starts to go down, and when it gets kind of in
Wow.
the middle, it's like yellow, and then as it gets really low, it's like red kind of thing.
What's this half circle on there?
The half circle one is for, you get this ability in the game called stasis, which is basically it just lets you like temporarily freeze an enemy kind of thing.
That's a freezing bar.
And so it's like the energy meter for that. And it's so brilliant because it's like it's like one of those things where it's like, if you think about it and ask about it, where it's like, so why is there a big glowing blue bar on the back of this guy's suit? Well, he's an engineer. It's his suit kind of thing. And the idea is it's like, it's your vital signs in essence is what it's indicating to you. Why is there the blue half circle on his back too? Well, it's
to know he has
the
much
visual
left.
indicator for him to know how much energy he's got left in the thing. Why does the bullets for the gun, instead of showing up in like the bottom corner of the screen, why do they pop up over the gun? Because if he was using that gun, it's like the fucking pulse rifle in Aliens where it has the little ammo counter on the side. It's like in real life, if you were using a space sci-fi gun like this, you would want the ammo, you know, in a way where you could clearly see, oh, I've got this many bullets left.
That's
and
so
that's
cool.
why it pops up. So it's like Dead
love
Space
that.
to me is such a brilliant example of doing UI.
Have you played the remake?
I have not played the
I wanna
remake
play it
yet.
so
I
bad.
want to play it. I have it. Like, I've paid for it because it was on sale a little while ago. It was like 20
Is it
bucks
still on
off.
sale?
It might be now because there's like a million
Ship has sailed.
PlayStation.
I want it so
There's
bad.
like a million
I've never
PlayStation
played.
sales going on.
I've never played it, but they like fully remade it. So I want it so bad.
I would just check
look
the
how beautiful,
PlayStation
look
store.
how beautiful it looks.
I mean, that's an ugly little creature.
No, but I'm saying the graphics are beautiful. It's like a 20-year-old game or whatever. No?
Exactly.
So
yeah. Well, like it was like early 2000, like 6 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's getting there. But yeah, it's just to me an example of like incorporating UI into the game world and just making it this like seamless thing where it's like you're never really thinking about it. And again, like I mentioned earlier, in Dead Space, if you want to know, first of all, if you pull up like your menus or the map, it's kind of like in the Arkham games where they're like holograms that emit, I can't remember if it's like from his helmet or his wrist or something, but it's like so that when you're looking at the map, it's not like a menu, it's like Isaac's looking at the map kind of thing. And even when you do,
dude, remember in Uncharted, sorry to interrupt, remember in Uncharted when they introduced like in Lost Legacy when they introduced a map? Like
yes.
you pull up, it's like Chloe's map and you pull it out and then it zooms in and you see her hands.
Yes, so it's
And
like
you can,
Chloe's looking at the map.
It's just
And-
like the
and then
Pit Boy in Fallout.
Yes, exactly.
And then in the map you can like use Chloe's hand and like finger around and then be like and then you select the place and you're like, is that it? And she taps it. And it's like, or like in what else? And even in like the original games with like the Notebook, you like flip through and you can turn the page with your
That's
hand.
right.
Yeah, and it's like having the Notebook is just infinitely more cool and immersive than just having a fucking menu that you're flipping
that's
through.
kinda
And it's
boring.
the same thing with the Pit-Boy and Fallout. And what I had mentioned earlier with Dead Space is Dead Space has the same like guidance thing that BioShock has where it's like if you want to know what direction you're going in, Isaac literally just kind of like holds his hand out over the floor and like a blue line showing the way temporarily pops up and then it fades away after a few seconds. And again, it's like an in-world thing of like
navigating
he's
thing,
on this spaceship that he has never been on before and doesn't know his way around. So he's using the suit and like the map and all the shit he's got to find his way around. So it's like, yeah, in the future, how would you navigate your way around? Oh, this like, you know, AR whatever like line appears on the floor telling him where to go.
But
then that's it.
Aside from, it's incredible that they did it in a way that makes sense still for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And then to me, besides all of that, even if it didn't really make sense why he has X, Y, and Z, it just looks so much nicer than having like this ugly bar at the top and then like ammo on the bottom.
Exactly.
Here, it's
most games, the top left would be this blue health bar kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's built into the suit, just like
and you can see the top of in this picture, you can see the top here. You could like look at the ceiling. You could look at like the corners and all this stuff hanging off the side. Like
and it's just like nothing about the game's UI gets in your way. It's all built into the world, whether you're in the menus looking at a map or your items, whether it's built into his suit with like the health or the energy thing or the ammo on the gun. It's just all such a seamless thing, and it's beautiful. It's brilliant.
It's game design.
It's game design. I am tired and sleepy.
Yes.
It's late here, and we've got.
Can I throw out
things
one more
to do.
thing?
Please.
Crafting. I like crafting in certain games. I think Last of Us does it really well.
Minecraft?
And same with
Shout out Minecraft.
and I really like the way actually Horizon does it, where you kind of like you have a wheel of crafting stuff, and you just you have to collect the proper ingredients, and then you just hold over it and just craft it.
Last one.
Yeah.
The sound design in Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh yeah,
oh my
amazing.
God, bro, are you kidding me? The blasters.
What's that bomb called? The
the one that implodes.
Like the thermite ones.
Yeah, thermite bomb.
Oh my God. Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the TIE fighters and like the TIE fighter like the
Battlefront
noise.
2. Like honestly,
the lasers and
they nailed it.
Sounds so good.
I feel like I'm in Star Wars.
It's almost cheating because it's like it is just like
Yeah.
the library of Star Wars sound effects put into a game, so it's almost kind of like cheating.
We love games.
We love video games.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so
Again.
Thank you. Anyways, we're all sleepy and have things to do tomorrow, so we're gonna get up on out of here. But thank you very much once again for tuning in to Wildly Adequate. As Mark just mentioned, please like, share, subscribe, check out the socials, hit us up on the TikTok, check out the Instagram, check out the Facebook group, or not a Facebook group, but the Facebook page. I apologize if there was extra like background noise this episode. We are currently recording in a new space that gets very hot, and we had the window open tonight just to let some air in, but you might have been able to hear some cars and stuff in the background. So we'll figure that out as we continue to use this space, because we will be continuing to use this space into the future, because we've got some fun things planned for the show, which we will hopefully be able to talk about in the not too distant future. But anyways, Is there anything else you guys would like to say before we get out of here?
No.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.